In New England, the summer runs from Memorial Day to Labor Day, and when the weather turns cool,
there's quite possibly no more satisfying meal to eat outdoors than chili with beef and beans.
join me as I put together a mess kit recipe in this week's Making a Mess with the Yankee Camper.
Today's mess kit recipe combines a number of ingredients to put together a chili recipe, which I'll cook on the Sterno stove. To start, we're going to use a 7-ounce packet of shredded beef. Combine that with 1 can of Rotel mild tomatoes and chilies, a quarter of a cup of pinto beans. Now I've measured those pinto beans and I've put them in this bowl. When I'm ready, I'll soak these beans for about 12 hours prior to making the chili. In a Loctite bag, I've put together my chili seasonings, and that consists of a quarter of a teaspoon of garlic powder, a quarter of a teaspoon of minced onion, a half a teaspoon of chili powder, as well as a half a teaspoon of cumin, a quarter of a teaspoon of oregano, a quarter of a teaspoon of cilantro, and a dash of black pepper. The other ingredient that I'll want to have is a white cheddar topping. This is basically a popcorn topping, but it works very well with the chili and requires no refrigeration. If you want to give your chili a little bit more of a kick, you can either add crushed red pepper or crushed jalapeno peppers. But be careful, they pack quite a punch. Into the paper sack goes all of the ingredients. That's now ready for me to make lunch out at the campsite. I'll see you there.
Growing up in New England, the only thing I knew about chili was put on a coat. Occasionally, my dad would ask my mom to get a can of chili corn carne, which I assumed he'd had in the service, but I really didn't know what it was. I think he'd make it for lunch sometimes. Chili is not a New England food. Thanks to Saturday morning cartoons, I'd heard of chili with shows like Josie and the Pussycats, Chili Today, Hot Tamale, but the first time I remember tasting chili was skiing. The ski area didn't have soup and everything else was under a warmer, so I tried it. It was hot and a little spicy, not to my tastes particularly, but it did warm me up after a cold day on the slopes. Chili, like tacos, was a food from a different region, a different culture. It wasn't served around here. During the late 70s and into the early 80s, things started to change. Wendy's opened their first New England restaurant in the Boston area in 1979 and began spreading throughout the area. By that time, chili had already been on their menu for 10 years. As a dish, it has roots in Texas. I'm told real Texas chili has no beans, meat only. And by meat, I mean beef. Beans were added by trail cooks and cowboys to stretch the meal, but it remains distinctive in the flavor composition of ground chili peppers and cumin, making it clearly a meal from the southwestern United States or south of the border. Nowadays, you can get chili with just beans, chili with chicken, chili with rice, tofu chili. Wait, don't do that. Tofu does not belong in chili. Around these parts, chili is still kind of a specialty food, but it's a bit more readily available and accepted. Why, there's even occasionally chili competitions where you can sample a variety of different takes on this adaptable cuisine from mild to five alarm. Our spoons, mouths, and bellies welcome you, chili. Now you know. And speaking of five alarms, no meal is more iconic of firefighters than a bowl of Firehouse Chili. Stick around, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But now, let's get started on cooking our recipe.
It's just a little after 7 o'clock and I'm going to have chili for dinner tonight. The first thing I need to do is soak the beans so that they can soak all day and become soft. I'm going to take my pinto beans, I'll open that up. And we're going to add in 1 full cup of water. Put the cover back on those beans. And those should be ready just about, I don't know, 5 or 6 o'clock tonight when I'm ready for chili. Speaking of chili, it's pretty cold out here this morning. These pinto beans have been soaking all day. I'm going to drain the water that's in here off and add another cup of water into it, and I'll be right back. These have 1 cup of fresh water. I'm just going to pour these into my large pot. Place them on the Sterno stove. Next, I'll open my can of Sterno. Light that can. One of the easiest ways to check if that fire is on is to take your lighter and just put it into the flame. Don't actually ignite it. If you get the fuel flowing and it lights, then you know you've got a flame going. I'm going to close the window door, put on the top, and let those go for just about an hour. I'll check them occasionally, make sure that they're still working okay.
While those beans start to cook, I'm going to talk about eating at an engine house. So just how did chili go from being a cowboy staple to becoming synonymous with firehouse cooking? Well, to start, both occupations require that the participants, who were traditionally men, stay as a unit with a designated culinarian. Although the trail riders often had a retired cowhand as their cookie, the firehouse typically rotates the chore of making meals. Chili is a straightforward one-pot recipe, and doesn't always come out the same. Simply combine the ingredients and let it slow cook either on low heat on the stove or in a crock pot. The best part, though, is if chili needs to be turned off, say due to an emergency call-out, it doesn't get ruined. It gets better. Or if part of the crew is out, reheating the spicy stew is simple and quick. And it's filling. Chili is often associated with being hearty and sticks to your ribs, staving off hunger because it's high in protein, so it makes sense that it would be part of a regular routine on the menu of firehouses across the nation. What about here in the Northeast? Well, I have it on good authority that chili is in fact not part of the regular meal plans in some firehouses. Why? Well, the Yankee firefighters don't particularly like spicy foods. Maybe we can make clam chowder a Yankee firehouse special. Now you know. Hey, I like chili. Mild, of course. I'm going to finish up my supper.
Those beans have been going for about an hour. I switched to my pocket rocket because the Sterno was just having trouble with the wind and the can was a little bit low. But those beans are just about done. While they finish up, let me open up my bag. We've got the shredded beef, some seasoning, cheddar seasoning, a can of Rotel, and our chili seasoning. So we'll test those beans and we'll see how they are. They should be just about done. No, not bad. Take my pot holder, or I'll move this from the heat. Shut off the stove. I'm going to go drain those beans and I'll be right back. So those beans are all set. Open up my shredded beef. Now this doesn't look too pretty, but it works really well. Put this right in here. We'll put that aside. We'll open our can of Rotel. Add that right in the top. Give that a stir. Add our chili seasoning. Stir that in. We'll relight the stove. Place that back on top over a medium heat. Cover. And we'll let that cook for about 10 minutes or so. The chili's been cooking about 10 minutes and I believe it's done. Shut the burner off. Let's take a look here. Oh, look at that. That's just beautiful. We'll take this, grab our spoon in a bowl, put some of that right into there. Add a little bit of our white cheddar seasoning. And I'm going to eat my supper. Then I'll clean up my mess. If you enjoy these videos, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I put out a video every week. Also, consider sharing it on your social media. I'd really appreciate it. And thank you for watching.